Senator Kennedy has been shot. Is that possible? Is that possible? Senator Kennedy, oh my God.
My father was shot 4 times. One of the shots, and all 4 times were from behind.
Hold him! Hold him! We don't want another Oswald! Hold him, Raper! We don't want another Oswald!
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Benny. So, one thing you're not allowed to do when you're running for president is to go against the machine. You see, the machine decides who gets to run for president. The machine decides who gets to win the presidency. And the machine decides who gets to be protected by the media and who gets to be destroyed by the media. And if you stand athwart the machine and if you question the national security state, well then, hot baby, you are absolutely toast. But still, RFK Jr. carries on. Still, Donald Trump carries on. And what does that say about our country? I think people are done with the machine. And I think the machine is scared right now. RFK Jr. making a huge amount of news going on a very popular podcast here called Math Hoffa. This is a New York-based MC, rapper podcast that is filmed inside of a barbershop. And it certainly is appealing to a urban voter. And they had an RFK who is there breaking down the machine, breaking down to the viewership of this YouTube channel what the CIA is doing, what our superstate is doing, what the Bay of Pigs was, what the military-industrial complex is. And it's wild because the first thing these guys ask is, who makes the decision to send so much of our money to Ukraine and not spend it here inside of the United States of America? Dude, I got to tell you, if you go and you talk with people on the streets, and especially if you go and talk with Black Americans, this is a massive issue that they are very upset about. Check out this wild clip. It's done really an insane amount of views on this channel. It's done nearly 1 million views on this channel. RFK sitting inside of a barbershop in New York, absolutely spitting bars.
Who's they? Who made the decision to say, hey, we're going to spend this much money on the Ukraine instead of feeding people who actually need it? Who's that guy or that girl or that group? Who are they?
It's called the military-industrial complex. And Dwight Eisenhower, who was the general in world, the commanding general of the Allied forces in World War II, then ran for president. And the day that he left office, January 17th, 1961, my birthday, and I was in Washington. 3 days later, I'd watch my uncle take the oath of office. But Eisenhower made the most important speech probably now in American history, where he warned America that if we were not careful, that the military-industrial, this permanent warfare economy and machine that we created would destroy our democracy, would subvert all of the institutions that we've created, would impoverish our country and turn us into a surveillance and security state. And my uncle, he actually tried to make peace with the Soviet Union, but the CIA thwarted him. Allen Dulles thwarted him. And my uncle comes in.
What was the guy's name?
Allen Dulles. He's the guy he was the big villain in American history. He's
Allen
the guy
Okay.
who turned the CIA into this, machine for overthrowing democracies and turned it against the American people. And he was, he then lied to my uncle about the Bay of Pigs. My uncle said, why are we going down? Because my uncle comes into office and they said, first thing you need to know is we're about to invade Cuba. It's a secret. We've trained 2,000 Cuban troops. They're armed, they're dangerous, and we're going to send them down and we're going to overthrow Castro. And we're going to need U.S. military support. And my uncle said, I'm not doing that. Why? He said, I don't like that Castro has a communist government, but that's Cuba's business. It's not American business. People can choose their own governments and experiment with them. And we don't have to like them, but we don't have a right to change them. And America's not going to, invade a little tiny country. That's a bad look and be a bully. And he said, Dulles and his Joint Chiefs said, well, don't worry, the troops are going to go over there, and we need to carry them to the Navy, then they'll do all the fighting. And my uncle said, well, Castro's got 200,000, an army of 200,000 men. How are these 2,000 men going to defeat that army? And he said that the CIA lied to him, and they said, we've infiltrated the army. We know that they're going to rise up and turn on Castro as soon as our men land. And my uncle said, well, you're not using the U.S. military. My uncle didn't want to send them, but the CIA said, if you keep these guys here, they're going to cause terrible trouble because they're armed and dangerous. And they're going to consider you a traitor, and they're going to cause a lot of trouble. So my uncle said, you're not going to use the U.S. military. So they got United Fruit, which owned all the sugar cane before Castro had thrown them out, to give them boats to bring those men over. And the men died on the beach or were captured by Castro. And that's when my uncle said, I want to shatter the CIA in 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds. And my uncle then, the CIA wanted him to go into Laos. He refused. They wanted him to go to Vietnam. He refused. They wanted him to go to war in '62 with Russia. Instead, he made friends secretly with Khrushchev. They started corresponding with each other, and they both realized that they were surrounded by people who wanted them to go to war. And my uncle kept them out, but then my uncle's killed, almost certainly by the CIA and the military-industrial complex. My father then runs against them. He also gets killed, again, almost certainly by the CIA. The man who actually fired the shots that killed him was a CIA asset, a guy called Eugene Caesar. Lee Harvey Oswald, we now know, was a CIA asset.
Yeah.
And the military-industrial, and we went through all of these traumas. My father's death, Dr. King's death, Malcolm X's death, the Vietnam War, the 9/11, and COVID. Each one pushed us further down the road into a security state, into becoming more a possession of the military.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps that's one of the many reasons why they refused to give RFK Secret Service. We covered this earlier in the week, that the Secret Service, Joe Biden has denied RFK's Secret Service, even though RFK is doing excellent in the polls against Joe Biden. RFK and Ramaswamy coming up fast in outside lanes, according to The Hill. Interesting development on the way to 2024. Two outsiders shunned or ignored by the entrenched establishment of both parties are doing really well, RFK and Vivek Ramaswamy. The article goes on to say that both of these guys are polling in the double digits and have super high favorability. Kennedy is in first place when it comes to favorability at 47%. He is ahead of Biden and Trump and DeSantis and every other candidate. His unfavorability is the lowest of any candidate at 26%. People like RFK. People like the narratives that RFK is telling and spinning up against the superstate and against these known lies that have been told to us for many, many years. And you could just select the subject out of a grab bag. RFK has surprising support among Joe Biden voters. Ooh, my, this is dangerous. He must be destroyed. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s decision to run for 2024 Democratic presidential nomination is supported by 31% of eligible voters who backed Joe Biden in the 2020 election. Uh-oh. Not good. Are we going to have an actual challenge here for a Democrat incumbent? Remember, the Kennedy family challenged Jimmy Carter, and I think his uncle Ted Kennedy, is the uncle of RFK, went on to win a number of states against Jimmy Carter. And, of course, Jimmy Carter then went down in flames. It was just so humiliating in the 1980 election. So is Kennedy going to do it again? Will Kennedy run independent? Will John F. Kennedy be Donald Trump's vice president on a unity ticket? Well, Donald Trump said recently that he likes RFK, so who knows? Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? This is going to be one of the most interesting election cycles ever. Stay tuned. It's your boy, Benny. Like, share, and subscribe to End Communism. See ya.